What if it's your responsibility to shine your light as bright as you can and to be the most fully expressed you that's possible? Like, what if that's your literal responsibility? Not just something nice to do, but actually that's why you're here. Like, you literally came as a soul into this body so that you could be you with your body, your quirkiness, your quote unquote flaws, your gifts, your hair, the way you think about things, the way that you struggle with things, the challenges you have. Like, what if that is exactly who you're supposed to be? And that when you dim your light and when you play small and when you try to be like anybody else or you compare yourself or you're mired in self-doubt, that's actually getting in the way of your life's work. What if the primary thing that we're supposed to be doing is being our true selves, and that the work is in removing everything that's not us? It's in this process that you may have heard of it before, like an unbecoming process. Like, it's this taking away everything that's not you, that you got given. Like, say when you were like a kid, belief systems and conditioning and other people's fears and other people's limiting beliefs and all this other stuff that got layered on you. And our job is to remove all of that so we could find the true us. Like, what if that's what it's really about? But the problem is that's scary, because we've all been taught to think about other people first. Like, for example, it could feel scary to you to shine your light bright when you're afraid that you're going to get judged. Like, who does she think she is? What if you talk about how great your life is, or you just speak your truth and other people disagree and then they're upset with you and you're afraid? You're afraid to do that. We don't live in a world that encourages and invites that. We live in a world where most of us, mainly I would say women, I will just speak for women because I happen to be one and I work with a lot of women, that we're given this impression that we are supposed to be in the world in a way that is acceptable to others. So if you show up and you're just being your true self, then that means you're not playing according to the rules of society. So we're supposed to say, for example, let's just talk about social media. Maybe we feel like if we share too much, people are going to think that we're, self-absorbed. Or if we share the great things in our lives, like that we're not sensitive to other people who are going through hard times. Or that if we go out there and build a business and we're really successful, that in some way, like, we're flaunting our success. We're taught how to play small. We are taught that we need to be a certain way so that other people will approve of us. And we have this external orientation of like, well, if I do this and then somebody else disapproves, then somehow I'm bad. Somehow what I did was bad, when all I was doing was expressing my true self. And it starts when we're little. It's so sad because when we're little, I don't even know how you get away from this happening. I just don't know how you can raise children in a way that some of this doesn't happen, because it's just kind of the nature of life is that we're being raised by parents. We have siblings, we have aunts and uncles and grandparents, and we have, leaders in the community and teachers and siblings, and friends and all these other people, and they all have their own opinions. They all have their own tolerances for what they'll put up with. And so what happens is we start to become our true selves and show our true selves, and then we get messages and cues from our environment and we adapt to it. So we start to say, oh, I shouldn't be that way. Oh, when I do this, mommy seems to approve of that. When I do this, she seems upset with me. So we are smart. We're really resourceful and we adapt to that. But what happens is we cut off from the truth of who we are. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but these are things called our shadow parts. These are the parts of ourselves that are in our unconscious mind that we cut off from, and we sort of just go in the world. We go acting the ways that we're supposed to act, following the rules, following what roles are expected of us, and we show up in this prescribed way that we, quote, should be, and then we suppress the truth of who we are. And I really believe that our work is in getting rid of all that crap and also building inner safety. This inner safety that will allow us to feel strong enough and capable enough to take the risks of going out there and being our true selves. And at the core, see, what happens is when we're little and we learn that we're supposed to act in certain ways in the world, what happens is we abandon ourselves. So we start to look toward mommy and daddy and to friends and to society and to social media to tell us how we're supposed to act, and we abandon the cues from inside. Well, when we abandon ourselves, we actually feel a sense of not being safe in the world because we're untethered. Like, imagine that we're supposed to have this strong tether to ourselves. And what happens is that tether gets broken, and we kind of like plug into all these other people. And they're unpredictable. We don't know whether they're going to like what we do or not like what we do, and we're just trying to follow what is acceptable. But imagine if you took that back, took the power back, took that cord back, and we plugged it back into ourselves. And so we connect internally. So we become the source of our own safety, our own security. We connect to us, to our soul, to the depths of who we are. And when we create that type of connection, we feel safe in the world because we're no longer externally looking for validation and approval and trying to follow and chase some external barometer of whether we're okay. We instead come centered into us and we say, I'm okay even if other people aren't approving of me because I approve of me, because I am accepting of me. That is the work. And when we do the combination of getting rid of everything that's not us and connecting internally to ourselves, we are unstoppable. And we become the person who does show up as our true selves, because it's easier to shine your light bright when you're not worried if other people are judging you. And if other people are critical of you and people are talking badly about you or people are jealous of you. Now, here's the thing about that. People are going to, because they have their own stuff, because they haven't done this work. But what if by you being your true self, by you showing up and bravely creating the safety so that you can be the true you in the world and sourcing your safety, validation, love, approval internally instead of externally, you give other people permission to do that? What if the world is never going to become a peaceful, loving, caring, compassionate place until we do this? What if you have to feel peaceful inside? You have to love yourself. You have to approve of yourself. You have to accept yourself in order for you to come into wholeness and come into peace. And when you are coming from that place, you become peace. And then other people feel inspired, and then they feel permission to show up that way too in the world. And frankly, when you're peace, when you become peace and you become love, because you inherently are those things, imagine that when you're with other people, you want them to be their true selves too, because you're now safe inside of you. You're no longer playing with according to the rules of how you should act. You're being your true self. So then when you're with other people, you feel solid and safe and secure internally. So you're like, I'm okay if you're your true self too. In fact, not only am I okay with it, I want you to be your true self. So then it spreads. And then other people start to feel safe internally, and they start to spread their true selves, and they start to show up as the love that they are and the truth of who they are and their own unique, quirky, flawsome selves. And all of us are. And imagine if we live in a world where we no longer have to be people-pleasing. We get to be our true selves and then see where we belong instead of trying to fit in. Imagine this world if we were all fully expressed, shining our light bright. Can you imagine the magnificence that we would create? I think we would. So I'm just going to leave you with this final thought, which is that I run a program called The Whole Soul Way. And this is what we do. This is exactly what we do there. And you'd be in an amazing community with women doing just this.